Regarding sugars, skew.
Ready? We're good. All right, folks, we're going to start our meeting. Well,
No, we're not.
What'd you do with your agenda?
I'll be back just a second. Left my book in. But sorry about that.
Online?
If you can take a vice mayor. Shiny little star.
Tasting menu in the upstairs bar. Okay.
Oh, Lord.
Lights.
No, you can dress me up too.
Thing is made to cut it.
Alan.
Oh, welcome back.
All right, y'all vote on anything?
No, but we're gonna let the bright shining stars shine here.
I appreciate it. All right, folks, let's start this over again. Welcome to our Tuesday, August 12th, Beach Mountain Council meeting. I need a motion to call the meeting to order.
Motion.
Very good. I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Cyclone.
Welcome back.
Good afternoon, everyone. Scripture today is from Timothy. Said, I have fought the good fight, I have run the race, finished the race, and this is used at a lot of funerals. You can see why there. I've kept the faith. 80 years ago this week, in 1945, great event happened. One of the, probably I would say the hardest decision anyone had ever had to make that walked on this planet was President Harry Truman that dropped the atomic bomb on Japan, thus ending the war then. But Truman, this project was so secret, he didn't know anything about it when he was vice president. He only learned about it after President Franklin Roosevelt died, and he became president. And there was kind of rumors going around, there's something going on with secret weapons at White Plains, New Mexico, and Oak Ridge, Tennessee, but of a terrible weapon being developed, but no one had any concept it could be as bad as it was. But anyway, the war had winded down in Europe, and getting ready for the bid in Japan. And most of the old boys that veterans been fighting in Europe, they were not wanting to go to the Pacific to fight too. They figured, hey, they had done their duty. They didn't need to go there. So after Truman learned of the atomic bomb, he was faced with 4 options of whether or not to drop the bomb. And the first option was to continue the conventional bombing that had been going on. It was really taking effect on the Japanese. One particular raid on Tokyo, 80,000 civilians were killed. One bomb dropping. From the year before, it had been estimated 333,000 Japanese people were killed, and 473 more were wounded. And so it was pretty obvious at this time that the conventional bombing, as it's called, was not taking effect with the Japanese people. And the second option was a ground invasion of Japan. And nobody wanted that because all the experts were saying, hey, they're going to fight to the very last. They've even said they're men, women, children, old folks, babies, be out with spears, sticks, rocks, anything, kind of a guerrilla type warfare. And it was estimated that probably 1 million Japanese citizens would be killed if they had an invasion, and probably close to that many American soldiers. So Truman knew he didn't want to do that. to give an example of what they had anticipated if this invasion occurred, several years ago, I was President's Kiwanis Club down in Banner Elk, and we had a speaker. He was from Graves Registration in Washington, spoke to us. And he said that in anticipation of this invasion, that they had so many body bags already ready to go that they were still using them after the Korean War, Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, and said they still had body bags left. So that was the anticipation that they'd had for that. His third option was to demonstrate the atomic bomb on an unoccupied area. And he thought about this, but that wasn't too feasible too, because if they had seen what happened firsthand, unoccupied island was not going to impress them. Plus, we only had 2 of the atomic bombs. Harry Truman didn't want to waste one of them by demonstrating like that, so he decided against that. And then the fourth option, of course, was to go ahead and drop it on the Japanese cities. But before he did, he had a plane fly over and drop pamphlets warning the people to get out of town. We've got a terrible weapon we're going to unleash. And he purposely picked these 2 cities, Hiroshima, I think they call it Hiroshima now, but and Nagasaki. And he picked those cities because they had not been damaged by bombing before. And he was afraid if he picked a city that they'd been bombing, they'd say, oh, the weapon's not too bad, you've been bombing 4 or 5 times. So anyway, he picked those 2 cities, and he also wanted to pick that didn't have a real lot of Japanese culture. He didn't want to just destroy the whole language and culture and everything. So the first one was dropped on Hiroshima. The pilot named the plane after his mother, Enola Gay. And there's a connection here some of you may be familiar with. Lise McRae College graduate was either Bombardier or Navigator 1, only Enola Gay. Yeah. I think you're right. But anyway, there's a plaque for it in the little park there at Lise McRae. So after the bombing was over for Hiroshima, this one soldier was stationed nearby, and he came up on a hill looking over it, and he said that it wasn't there. He said, it's just like it never been there. He said, it was nothing. He said, it was just gone. So we thought that, Harry thought that probably the Japanese would surrender then, but they didn't. And so he got ready for the second one, which he did drop, and things were so bad then that the Japanese finally did consider the surrender. But Truman went through a lot of turmoil and all with the bomb. He didn't really know what to do. He had advice from pastors and politicians and mobsters, everything he could get. And finally he decided to do it, and whether you agree with him or not, you got to admire him for doing this decision. And he had a sign on his desk, just like you folks do here. It said, "The buck stops here." And a lot of politicians have that sign, but they don't use it. But Harry Truman, he did. He believed in it. And he was quoted later as saying, a lot of people now don't agree. They don't think I should have dropped it. But he said, I have yet to run into anybody that was in the military that disagreed with it. And of course, after this, it was pretty much the occupation of it and all that. Would you bow your heads, please? Lord, we thank you so much for this beautiful day. We thank you for letting us live here on Beech Mountain, North Carolina. We're just so thankful for that. And we pray, Lord, that you'll be with our military, our firefighters, EMTs, and all the law enforcement people. And we pray that you continue to bless the United States of America, continue to bless Beech Mountain. Amen.
Thank you, Saquon.
Thank you.
Stand for pledge of allegiance. Everyone will move their hats, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I like to start the meetings out on a positive note, maybe two positive notes. Ski Patrol got a new roof today. It's kind of an inside joke. They weren't supposed to, but they took the wrong roof off. So on another positive note, about 4 months ago, I met with some folks down in Raleigh, and I was trying to be a cheerleader for some money. Several months ago, we were assured we were going to get $12 million. Kept asking. And, our Senate and legislators are kind of battling back and forth. So we weren't making any progress, and we took it to the next level. I've been working with Senator Budd's office and U.S. Congressman Virginia Fox, and Ted Budd's office called me about an hour ago and said we were awarded how much money? $5.8 million. So that's going to get us ahead with a lot of projects that the town has already spent, maybe, $5 million that we've invested, give or take. So it's going to give us some breathing room, put some money back in the general fund, and be well used. Hopefully, we're still going to get the $12 million here in the next few months. We're still working on that. But it's exciting that we were awarded $5.8 million. All right. What's funny is I found out before our town manager.
As you should.
Okay, public comment. This is a time for the public to address their elected officials on issues not on the agenda. The town council is interested in hearing concerns. However, speakers should not expect town council to take any action or deliberation on items brought forth during the public comment period. We have two folks that have signed up for public comment, and if you can keep it 5 minutes or less, please. Mr. Duncan, Rob Duncan.
Council members, town residents. At the last town meeting, I brought up an issue that my wife and I have with the town, where they displaced some of our monuments that mark our property border. This year, we intended to do some work on our property, which borders the town. We were not able to do that work without knowing where our borders, our property lines were. With the monuments being displaced, we couldn't determine exactly where they were. So I sent emails to the mayor and the town council after that, letting them know what we intended to do if we couldn't come to an agreement. They referred me to town lawyer, Mr. Eggers, and we responded back and forth for about a month. And I got the final response from him Saturday. So I just wanted to go through this real quick. So this is from Mr. Eggers. Thank you for the email and forwarding those documents, which were 2 surveys that we had of our property. My request is for these to assist in making sure that the town represents your property and the town does not overstep its property lines. Our construction related to the Bart Parkway, and I'm assuming that is that comes down past here and comes back out into the parkway right up here by my property. I'm assuming that's what it's called. The town engaged West Engineering to survey the intersection and mark the boundary to the property. Their survey reflects the town construction, its improvements on the town property. So I don't doubt that the town did that. Maybe they did. But when my surveyor did it, he puts a pin in your asphalt. Now, that's not my biggest concern right now. My concern is I had to pay for a survey that I shouldn't have to pay for. So I made sure I didn't get on your property. I used to be able to find that marker because of the wooden fence that's there, but part of it's missing now. So I couldn't tell anymore. Now, the surveyor told me, the marker's there, it's buried under the ground. If you want us to dig it up and replace it, it's gonna cost you a lot more money. So this is the rest of the response. Well, basically what I said back to Mr. Eggers, I've attached multiple times previous emails, pictures show the town encroached on our property. As I've said before, I can show you in less than 5 minutes what has happened. I can prove that the town's 2 construction properties covered up our boundary markers. As I said, I can show it to you on the property. You obviously are not interested in the truths, so let's take your bullet points one at a time. So, Mr. Eggers, prior to taking action to have your corner set, hiring a surveyor, no claim or demand was presented to the town to address your concern. I spoke with Preston Yates multiple times. I spoke with Bob Putney multiple times. All of these were before we hired Mr. Lacy. I told Preston that not knowing where our boundary lines were was holding us up and keeping us from contracting someone to do the work. I have many witnesses that saw me make the claim in the town meeting in July. You were present. His second bullet point. I'm unaware of any action taken by an agent of the town to remove or damage your survey marker. If you have the name of such individual, I would appreciate your providing that name to me. That's ludicrous. How would I'm not there filming every day. I wasn't even here when it happened, when you built that trail, and I wasn't here when you did the Fork Trail. So how would I know who did it? The point is, you guys did construction. The boundary markers got covered up. Parks and Recreation probably put in the Fork Trail, so you can find out from Sean Royal who did that. Needless to say, the trail is on our property, and the construction of that trail displaced one and covered one up. The surveyors, again, said they detected the monuments that were covered up, but again, it would cost a fortune to dig them up and put them back in place. His third bullet point. Survey expenses to mark one's own boundary line are generally not compensable expenses and cannot be assessed against the neighboring property owner, unless the neighboring property owner displaces your boundary markers. I have zero doubt that a judge will agree that expenses caused by another party or that party's responsibility to make right, whether or not it's destroying a boundary marker or any other expenses that the offending party caused. If we had not gone to the expense and ended up encroaching on the town property, I'm sure the town would have a problem with that. Bullet point number 4 from Mr. Eggers. As a municipal corporation of the state of North Carolina, the town has governmental immunity from tort claims unless that immunity is specifically waived. In other words, unless the town agrees to be sued. I don't want to sue the town. You're my neighbors. I don't want to sue you. I just want the right thing to be done. And lastly, he says, as a steward of public tax dollars, the town cannot expend funds for surveying bills of private property owners. While I'm mindful that this is not your desired outcome, the town wishes to be a good neighbor. I'm happy to address any issues which you may have related to your property line. Again, I've said it before. Any one of you, anybody here, you want to come over my property, I'll show you exactly what happened. But the fact that there is a pin in the asphalt that your contractor put down that is above where my marker was is proof enough. You may have surveyed it, but your contractor violated that or wasn't paying attention. He covered up my marker. I had to pay to get it put back so that I could see where my property lines are and not get on the town property. So you know, you can do the right thing, you can tell me I can't sue you, whatever, that's fine. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you. Therese?
Hi, I'm Therese Barry, 100 Squirrel. I've brought this up before, and I'm bringing it up again. I would like some way for residents, permanent residents, and maybe part-time residents too, to be able to park free in the parking lot across the way. For example, suppose you're going to volunteer at the museum. Why in the world should you have to pay to park there? This is absurd. And really, it's really to generate money from the ski traffic. And permanent residents are never skiing when it's crowded. And if you're me, you're not skiing anymore because my privilege to ski free has been removed. True, and it's not like that everywhere. I can go ski free at Mammoth. Anyway, also I have a question. I don't know if you can answer it, but that huge hole at where Village Road runs into the Parkway, is that town property or is that Holiday Beach Villa property? Anybody know?
It's Holiday Beach.
Holiday Beach? Okay, maybe you could get on them to repair that because it's really bad. I live at the very top where Village becomes Squirrel, which is a gravel road, and I love it being a gravel road. I have a very long gravel driveway. I have no trouble in the winter. I would never pave it. But years ago, maybe many of you were not here, and maybe some of you weren't even born, Village used to be a gravel road. And you could sit in my kitchen and see when it was paved. And when it was paved, the head of the project used to plug his equipment in on my porch, which was fine. You know, that was in the 90s, so therefore things were different. Technology had not advanced to that point. And I said, how's this going to be when this road is paved? He said, well, it's going to help with the washout, except for that hole there. But it's going to be it could become a speeding problem. And the reason I'm bringing this up is one time, 2 or 3 council meetings ago, we were talking about paving the Beach Mountain Parkway, the gravel part, and someone said, oh, well, paving it will not increase speeding. I can tell you, because I cook all the time, okay? I can see the speeding difference between when my road was gravel, when Village was gravel and when Village was paved. They come around that curve and there is a big spot in the road, in the lot next door to me where they go off all the time. Whoa, I don't need a microphone, I got a very loud voice. Last winter before last, I saw someone speed up Village and do a 180 and speed down the other way. They speed like crazy. So remember, every road you pave is going to be traveled by people who are driving too fast, and lots of them in the winter are in two-wheel drive, and that ought to be outlawed. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, item 6, consent agenda. I need a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Motion.
I need a second.
Second.
You guys have any questions, any discussion? All in
Please,
favor?
can we keep the comments down?
Guys, hey, Therese,
What?
it's hard to hear when,
I know.
Sorry.
I got that big one.
that's all right. Thank you. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Item 6 passes. New business. This is board vacancies. I need a motion to open the board vacancies
Motion.
now. And-
Second.
Okay, so we're only going to vote on the Parks and Rec and Board of Adjustment. We have some more applications coming in. Board of Adjustment, we'll vote on that next month. Alan?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to nominate Clifford Burgess Perry to the Parks and Rec Committee.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Item 7.2, this is to hold a public hearing on various code amendments. This is a public hearing I need a motion to open it.
Motion.
Second.
All right. Does anyone care to speak? Urs?
Urs Steiger, 124 Reagan Road. I would ask the council to defer action on the water mitigation plan. I think there are some real issues with what has been proposed. Bob and I have had discussions on this. We can't even agree what the new proposal actually means. And let me illustrate that for you. The proposal is for a stage 2 mandatory reduction is that all customers are expected to reduce their water use by 10% in comparison to their annual monthly average, calculated as a running annual total divided by 12 months. The way I interpret that for a part-time resident, we use, let's say we use 2,000 gallons a month for the 6 months that we're here, and 0 gallons for the 6 months that we're not. So the way I would compute that, that would be, our usage would be 1,000 gallons a month, and 10% of that would be, we'd have to reduce it 100 gallons, but we'd have to reduce it from the 1,000 gallons. So our usage would be 900 gallons per month. If we exceed 900 gallons per month, we are then in violation. The current policy says that it's 10% from the prior month's usage. So it would be, for example, if we use 2,000 gallons in the months that we're here, it would be 200 gallons and we would have to use 1,800. You see the problem. Bob, for some reason, doesn't read it that way. I'm not quite sure how he reads it, because you have to subtract the 100 gallons from something, because in order to determine whether or not you're in violation, you've determined how much you have to reduce it, but it has to be reduced from somewhere. So I think the wording right now is, quite frankly, unclear. The bigger problem that I have, however, is there anyone in this room who can tell me how many gallons of water you used last week?
Say last month,
Or even last month?
2,600 gallons.
No, you use 2,600 gallons from the middle of the month to the middle of the month, which is when they
From
read.
billing- From reading period
From
to
reading
reading period.
But that's the only data that we get. And by the time we get that data, it's 6 weeks old. Because it is the 4 weeks plus the 2 weeks before you actually get the bill. So even if we were attempting to reduce our water usage, we have no way as residents to determine whether or not we're in any way succeeding in doing that. So neither system is really workable. There are other alternatives, however. And for those of you who are interested, you can go to ncwater.org, which is the state's website. It has all of the water plans for every municipality in the state of North Carolina. And I've looked at a bunch of them, and there's actually some that try to address this situation a little bit differently. And the most interesting one I'll give you is from Brevard. And what Brevard says is, in a stage 2 water usage, if you exceed 2,000 gallons a month and you are in violation of the stage 2 restriction, which in their case is 10% reduced from the prior month's usage, you would have a water surcharge of 1.5 times the normal water rate. So what they're trying to do is go after the people who are really the problem. Most of us in this room have taken steps to reduce our water usage. Our average water usage when we're here is 1,800 gallons a month. We have installed low-flow toilets. We have installed the shower restrictors on our shower. We have done all of those steps already. Yet we still have residential users, as has been addressed in prior sessions, using 15,000 and 20,000 gallons a month. A better way to address this problem is to look at those users and figure out a way to get them to reduce their water usage. One of the things that you have done is you have increased water rates for higher users, but I don't think you've done it enough. I think you need to look at a multidisciplinary approach to include things like increasing the higher users' water rates by more than what you've done already. And in times of water shortage, you should probably look at those users to decrease their water usage as opposed to the people who are using 1,800 gallons a month. Because what we really still have is a water leak problem. I did some math. The last council session showed that the average daily gallons produced by the water system is 540,000 gallons. Divide that by the approximate 2,200 users, that's 245 gallons a day or 7,300 gallons a month. Most of us are not using anywhere near that, which means a lot of our water is still going into the ground.
Yeah, don't forget commercial users also.
True, but we have 2,200 residential users.
Yeah,
So,
but you're using the total, not
right.
gallons.
But I mean, and I know we're addressing this issue, and I know we're trying to work on leaks, but a lot of our water problem has to do with leaks, has to do with large users, has to do with Airbnbs. And I think we need to go back and look at what we're really trying to do with this plan and address it perhaps in a different way. And so I would ask you to defer, at least on that part, any action today. Thank you.
Thank you. Chief, didn't you have, last council meeting, you had a graph or something, you still have that?
I've got a PowerPoint slide. Is that what you're talking about?
Sure.
You want to see it?
Is it accessible? Sure.
You want to wait for your public hearing to be over?
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, does anyone else care to speak? All right, I'm going to close the public hearing.
Motion closed.
Second.
All right.
This is Dave Rangers here.
It's Chief, I mean, if you want to show that next council meeting, that's fine.
I can do it at any time.
Let's do it now.
I found it.
Yes, sir. And then, and while we're sitting here for a moment, the money that we received from FEMA, what's that money going to be used for, Chief?
Charter Hills Road slide and Buckeye Lake, complete the return of Buckeye Lake to its capacity, and the Cherry Gap site,
And then what about Buckeye Creek Road?
and the crossing at Buckeye Creek. It's not enough money to do it all, but that's what we're going to use it for.
Okay, thank you.
So is that what you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
So, Mayor, that was in response to, I had a conversation with Urs, and we had two residents who called complaining that part-time residents were adversely affected by this change. And so we put this together to show, and you have to use similar numbers to have apples to apples, but a year-round customer that uses the same amount of gallons per month as a part-time customer when they're here has a reduction of 300 gallons at 10%. A part-time resident, as math would have it, 50% is 150 gallon reduction. I don't know if you want to go into this, but the issue is that we cannot calculate the past month usage because some customers use no water in a previous month, and the billing cycle is also an issue, as you heard from Urs. So 10% of 0 is 0, and they would have no reductions. And as the reductions go, we're just talking stage 2. When you go to stage 3 and 4, there's substantial financial penalties for everybody on the cost of the water. If you read the ordinance that's in place, it isn't being proposed to be changed. 2 times the water rate in phase 4, 5 times the water rate in phase 5. So not only is there substantial financial impact to the community on water restrictions, which is why we don't ever want to get there, to make it equitable and fair, the 12-month rolling average was determined to be more appropriate than the 1-month usage. And that's why it was proposed by the water department.
Okay. You guys have any questions?
Can we publish as part of the ordinance the calculation, the formula? It's not part of the ordinance.
Well, I mean, part of the changes, right? Or so,
As an
so
example?
can we put that in the, can we put how we are calculating it
Or we could just put that slide in there as an
into
example.
it?
Well, the slide only assumes a 3,000 gallon a month, apples to apples. Every customer uses different amounts.
Correct, because there's a formula behind that, right?
Well, the calculation is a 12-month rolling average, so the water, the mayor's water, or Councilman Beckman's water bill, he knows how much it is. So that becomes part of his 12-month rolling average. You can't put numbers there because everyone's different. We selected this just so apples to apples. And it should be important to note that the only thing that's being changed is the calculation of the percentage. It's still 10%. It's not being calculated on the past month. It's being calculated on a 12-month rolling average. So that by the time we get to phase 3, when your water bill is 1.5 times, or phase 4 where it's double, everybody is being penalized and everybody's saving water. We have to prove, this is an emergency water ordinance. This is meant to keep us from getting there. We don't want to get there. And everybody needs to conserve when we put the sign up and when we put notice out. The other thing I'll say, the reason this ordinance exists and the reason that you can find every town's ordinance on that website is because it's a requirement by the state to have this ordinance, and it's a requirement in addition to Town of Beech Mountain for a water release permit at Buckeye Lake. So you don't have to pass the change, but the 10% of the last month remains. The staff feels that the 10% of the 12-month rolling average takes into account more fairly all of our customers.
Any other questions? Okay. Chief,
Yes.
we don't take a vote on this, do we?
This public hearing, you closed the public hearing.
Yeah,
We closed
did
it.
that already.
Yeah, so we'll have this on your agenda for next month.
Yes, sir. Okay. All right, town manager and staff reports. Chief, you're up.
All right, let's talk about FEMA. Obviously, the good news, Mayor, is what you brought to us today, that we've got some federal dollars of $5.8 million, by far the most amount of money that's been obligated so far.
Is that a loan or just a grant?
That's a reimbursement. So we put forth an estimate for projects, Buckeye Lake,
Right.
Charter Hills. And then this has been sitting dormant
Yeah.
in DC for months. And from the mayor calling Senator Budd, it got released Saturday. So that tells you something happened. So it's still slow progress. We've received obligations, not including the 5.8, just this week for $761,000. Total obligation prior to the mayor's announcement was $2,785,000. Remember, we have a $30 million claim, and we've gotten about 2.7. Now we'll add the 5.8, and that'll get us a little, not even halfway, but that'll get us going along the way. We've had some changes in FEMA personnel locally, which I believe has been in our favor, and now we're beginning to see things move. We had some problems, and we were just churning the same information over and over. Our engineers were spending quite a bit of time and money recalculating, refiguring, answering questions, and so that's been resolved to our favor. So now we've got as you recall, cash flow money in the account where we can do various utility and general recovery. This 5.8 will be added to that pot of money, and we'll continue making recovery efforts as we go forward. Buckeye Lake, the dredging has been completed. We need to work on the water plant intakes and the lake drain. This will be under a separate contract. So the dredger, the barge and the dredging is completed, he's gone. And now that the main contractor is responsible for cleaning out the water plant intake and repairing it. It was broken. That'll be under a separate contract.
Has that contract been issued?
No. It'll probably be a change order. Because the contractor who did the excavation, that's required for him to do. Bids open on the 22nd for the excavation of the dry material at the lake and the construction of the fill site on Cherry Gap. So all the material that was dredged and put in those black bags and all the material that it's sitting on to a depth of about 15 feet will be mechanically removed, put in trucks and hauled to the Cherry Gap disposal site. That will return about almost 3 million gallons of capacity to the lake, which is extremely important at this juncture. The road and culvert projects have been awarded. You met in a special meeting to award those. Contracts have been signed and the work's begun. In that meeting, that special meeting, there wasn't much attendance by the public, but Councilman Stanford, you had asked that we put something on the town website to educate the public on what roads were being done. That's been accomplished. It's on there. It will be updated Monday. From Friday information, what the plan is for the week. It's weather dependent, obviously, but so far we're getting the information on there. It's saying what day of the week we hope to be on which road. So Wild Daisy, Greenbrier, down on Locust Ridge, that's where they've been focused on their work lately. But you can check the website and see where we're going to be. We've had to have the police involved as well as code enforcement to go ahead of the trucks and graders because we have a number of improperly parked vehicles, mostly construction. We have trailers, we have Jiffy Johns, we have material that are in the way, and the grader was grading around Jiffy Johns. So we've had to enlist code enforcement and police to go ahead of them to clear that area out. Buckeye Creek Road, contract was let today. Moretz Paving will be milling the entire length of that road and then resurfacing it. They should be starting fairly soon, so that's going to have an impact on one access to the town.
Are we gonna get the millings again?
I believe Daniel told me we were going to. Greenbrier Road paving is underway. They're resetting the manholes. They've gravelled. They'll be fine grading it, and then Moretz Paving will be paving Greenbrier Road. The repairs to the fire stations, town hall, and public works are almost completed. We're in the final punch list stage of all those repairs from the storm. Shane Park is on hold until the Buckeye Lake project is complete. I get a lot of calls about Shane Park this summer. Nothing will be done there until the lake is completed. We have to mitigate the stream. We have to return the stream to its natural channel that it was. There has to be the water gauge that measures the flow has to be reinstalled. So actually, in reality, Shane Park won't have any work done to it until next summer at the earliest. Buckeye Creek Road and Pinnacle Road, the culvert crossing, we're making progress now with between the engineers and FEMA. Looks like that'll be an open box culvert, and we haven't got it approved yet, but we're making progress, and that work should be expected next spring. So we won't pave that piece in the next couple of weeks. There's a demarcation point where we'll stop just before or past, depending which way you're driving, Shane Park. That piece will remain as temporary paved. The rest of the road will be done. Once we do the culvert and the stream mitigation, then we'll finish that intersection. Charter Hills Road, you heard we have funding for that. It's almost complete design. We were waiting on FEMA approval. We have that. That work will not begin until next spring. That's a complicated slide. It's not the first time that has slid. I think I told you there's a sheet of rock of granite that's just below it. That's going to have to be drilled and anchored and a retaining wall built, and it's a substantial project, so that will be next spring. The water and sewer plant repairs are under design. We're still waiting for the state DEQ approval. We can't do any permanent work to the water or sewer system, including the water plants, without the Department of Environmental Quality, DEQ, giving approval for that, and then it goes to FEMA. So realistically, that work won't be done for probably a year or more. Lake Coffee, the final designs are being completed. I think we're like at 98%. We're gonna go out to bid 1st of October so that we get some hard numbers. The funding mechanism for Lake Coffee is reneging on their phase 2 funding. They're gonna pay for phase 1, which is through bidding. And then we'll enlist the mayor to go out and get us some money to finish that project. The commercial district plan is in the final steps. I met with them last week. They will make a presentation to council in October on what their proposal is and have you take a look at it. You really don't have to take any action. At some point, maybe in November, December, we'd like to get a decision on which, there's going to be 2 options, which option you would like to continue. And then I'll go to the TDA and see if we can get some funding for phase 2. The Grassy Gap Trail lower section, that has been completed. And the TDA funded that. That will secure that part of the trail for the future, and we're happy that TDA was able to help the town on that one. Mayor proposed changes to the nuisance ordinance that you requested. I'd like to schedule those for the September 9th meeting for a public hearing. You told me they were good with you. You took a look at it, so we're good to go for a public hearing?
Yes, sir.
Stormwater utility presentation will be on the September 9th hearing. As you know, that we got stormwater utility process update. They're going to present to council to tell you what a stormwater utility is, how to fund it, what it could possibly mean, and then we're not going to ask for a decision in September, but September. What we want to do is get you up to speed and figure out what you want to do with stormwater. Farmers Market is September 5th. They seem to be going really well. I don't know how the weather holds out, but there's black clouds and thunder all around us, and it doesn't rain on the Farmers Market, so we're happy with that. And last but not least, I'd like to ask for another special council meeting for September 2nd at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I expect to have bids here for awarding, and that's to finish that dredge material at Buckeye. We could wait till, I think, when is the meeting on? The 9th? We could wait till the 9th, but that's 7 days I could be working, and we're running short on weather. So if it's okay and 3 or more of you can be here on the 2nd at 2, Emily will notice it, and we'll have a bid award as the only item on the agenda. So if you would let me know before the end of business today.
You guys good with that? All right, go ahead and schedule that.
We'll
Chief.
schedule that. Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Yes,
That's my
sir.
report.
All right. Alan?
Yeah, I'd just like to, give our town employees a shout out. A lot of us take for granted what happens on a daily basis here, with the town employees supporting another, cleaning out sewers and fixing water lines, and, they're doing the grading and, fixing culverts and all those activities that need to be done up here. And it's easy to kind of just, think about it and not put a whole lot of attention to it, but really a shout out to them, because they do things that I think most of us probably wouldn't want to do. And so it's just an appreciation to them, and they are a valuable asset to our town. It's what keeps us going and keeps the doors open. So I'd like to give them a big shout out.
Two things. I ran into an old resident, John Hoffman, the other day, and it was good to reminisce. I mean, he's been on council, he's been on a lot of committees over the last 20 years. He moved away for some personal reasons, but you know, he sends his best, and he's still in good spirits, and you know, he says he watches the meetings every week, so a little shout out to John. You know, but it was a nice chance meeting. The other thing is I want to mention is that, you know, a lot of discussion in social media and cocktail parties and whatnot about town communications. I can report that there is a town slash, not TDA, Chamber of Commerce have gotten together, and they're trying to organize something to get out a message board or an email to better inform or make it easier for our residents to be informed. And I think that's a great initiative, and I hope it moves forward. Thanks.
Stanford?
I'd like to thank the police department and the town manager for collaboration with the resort on our parking plan for the concerts. Saturday night's concert was the highest attendance, and the parking got a little iffy towards the end of getting everybody parked, but we managed and we did it. And I think we had a good traffic flow going out when everybody left. It was a really good concert. Also, we'd like to recognize the mayor for his assistance in taking Charlie's band manager up and down the mountain Saturday. It was appreciated. We had a lot going on, and I didn't have time to do it, so thank you.
Too bad I didn't have Charlie. That was the intent.
Do we have those tickers to even figure out how many cars came through this past weekend with the last concert?
Yes, I've got that data. I didn't bring it with me.
Okay, just email it. I'm just curious to see what number we ended up with, because it was a pretty busy
It
weekend.
was around 6,000, 7,000, less than 7,000 cars, almost 6,000.
Well, on the 24-hour period,
Just Saturday.
just that Saturday.
We calculated by day. I mean, Preston can give it to you by hour, minute. It's inbound, outbound, and I looked at Saturday to see what, because we felt that it was the highest attended concert of the summer. And just, I like, the parking goes very well. Wish we could do that for the winter.
We'll work on it.
At least people are trying. That's all I ask. I mean, we're trying to do things to make it better, and that's all you can ask.
Well, I worked the concerts, and there was a lot of compliments about the organization and getting everybody parked and getting everybody in. So everybody worked well together. The other thing I wanted to mention, the Beach Mountain Historical Society calendars are out. They're a $5 donation. You can pick them up at the museum when it's open Thursday through Sunday. They're also at the Buckeye and at the Visitor Center. And that's a donation to the museum. Go to the museum if you haven't and pick one up there, because it's really cool. That's it for me.
We had a nice crowd today. Thank you for everyone that turned out and your input. You know, we may not always agree, but we do listen to your concerns and your voices. We can also be reached by email or by phone if you guys need something or you think something's not right. Call the town manager on that one. But,
They do?
anyhow, thanks again for attending today, and see you at the next meeting.
Wait, I got one other. I'd like to make a motion that Bob Pudney has a good vacation.
Oh, I second
So
that.
well deserved and so over time, but please,
We'll give out
I know you got your meetings scheduled already, but over Zoom and whatnot, but please try to do the best you can.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Okay, thank you. Pass that.